The smooth working and leading of the project team is important from the perspective of implementing a successful project. And when we are talking about humans and human things, there does not exist a straightforward engineer-like solution or formula as to how the working of the project team should be optimally steered into the right direction. Of course, some guidelines and good practices have been recognized. There are group dynamics related factors that influence the working of a project team. These must be taken into account by the project manager in the way in which he manages the project. So this project team and project group are involved with the project throughout its life cycle. There are different kinds of situations, successes, conflicts, the solving of which is primarily the project manager's task. In this task, it is the social and interactional skills of the project manager that come into focus. That is how he or she is able to steer the team towards good outcomes by his own human and empathic activities. These tasks are things which in reality take up a large portion of the project manager's schedule, but regrettably often it is the case that these tasks are not scheduled into the calendar and one thinks that the project manager can do them sort of on the side. And from the perspective of the group dynamics, it is very important what happens right in the early stages of the project, right in the beginning when the project is just being created. So it is especially at the launching stage of the project that one must pay special attention to building a foundation for good collaboration among the team and to binding the team together. Here, different kinds of face-to-face meetings, even if they are unofficial ones, are a good start and foundation for people to trust each other. Thus, you start creating a common identity for the project team. More and more in different kinds of projects, staff selection and evaluation of the team's collaboration are used in forming a functioning project team. These kinds of teams do not become functional solely through having only the best top experts necessarily, but often different kinds of expertise are required. But also what is needed is different kinds of people with different kinds of personalities and orientations to have a functioning team. Here one can use actually then different kinds of tools for evaluating and developing the team's collaboration. So one sort of tries right in the early stages to form a team where the people get along with each other. That is because unfortunately personal conflicts may also significantly hurt project work, and in the worst case they may become rather large things which go past the actual working on the project. In this sense too, it is very important to pay attention to the compatibility of the people. And in order to make these teams functioning and effective, at least according to current research, it is very important that every member of the team has space to bring out their own views, and that especially in expert organizations, the views of different experts are respected and they are given equal opportunities to participate and to influence the planning and implementation of the project and the planning indeed from the very early stages. What is a good and functioning project team like? That can be examined through an external point of view, that is how the project looks from the outside, for example to the customers and stakeholders. So can this project team or project group fulfill the concrete task that it was given, and can it produce the benefits that have been planned to be implemented within that project? Or that can be also examined from the project team's internal point of view in terms of whether we feel in this project that we really belong in this project, so that we sort of identify ourselves through that project and not through some other activities, and whether we are really willing to work and committed to working towards the goals of this project precisely. This image illustrates the external point of view to the effectiveness of this project team. And this effective project team has been researched in project-related studies very widely for decades. Here, the essential factors influencing the effective working of a project team are brought out. Effectively working project teams fulfill the tasks given to the project efficiently and on schedule. And one important feature is, for example, this technical success. The fact that you stay on budget, you can be creative and innovative too, of course. And when changes happen during the life cycle of the project and surprising situations occur, you adapt to them and look for a solution together. You don't start blaming that this problem is due to you and you, or you look what you did and so on. But you start to look for a solution that's for the best of the project. Then the people. In functioning and efficient project teams, you can see a special trust and atmosphere. It's a special kind of, you could say, magic that you've sometimes felt when you have been part of a well-functioning project team, where things have just gone smoothly. It's been nice to work there, and it's always been nice to go to meetings. You've felt a strong sense of belonging together, which has supported the project and the people's activities. So you could say that the activity has been described by the spirit of collaboration. Then, an important thing which affects the effectiveness of carrying out of tasks and the team spirit is leadership. That is, functioning and efficient project groups, in them leadership is at an excellent level. That doesn't mean that there is a self-determining leader, but also that the members of the project group are empowered and involved in the common decision making. There is more and more discussion about the importance of coaching leadership, through which the leaders and the project manager build the motivation and commitment of the members of the project. One thing that is important here for the leader of the task is to present the right questions and to support people in finding their own solutions. Even conflicts in these kinds of functioning and efficient teams are resolved well. It is possible that clear solution procedures have been created in the early stages of the project. That is, in the beginning, you have laid down some kinds of common rules of the game and the ways in which things are done in that project and in our project, which then supports the activities overall. Then another important thing is the organization. That is, that there is a culture of collaboration in the project. There are clear, common, big picture goals which have also been specified and are known to and internalized by everyone. Risks are also shared, so that, for example, if we have a project that spans multiple organizations, the risks are carried by such organizations that can best withstand and carry them. So you do not force a weak subcontractor to carry such risks that they are simply unable to carry. And the management, for example, the project management group, is visible even to the members of the project team. The people in the project group feel that the management is showing an example and cares and is generally there instead of only having coffee meetings in meeting cabinets. Then there is also a long-term strategy and sort of a window for the members of the project group to what will happen after this project. In addition to these factors, of course, the environment where the project and the project team operates significantly affects its performance, and the operation of the project must then always be somehow adapted to the legislative environment, to the political situations, to the social environment and context where the project operates. This image represents the internal perspective of factors affecting the operation of a project team. That is how the project team, how the team itself sees its operations. Now, this external and internal perspective, they are often strongly linked together, but it may also be the case that the project looks outwardly very efficient and well-performing, that is doing the right things in an efficient way, but internally the people feel that things are not going well and there is, for example, bad spirit in the team. But this internal perspective can be examined with the help of this kind of an iceberg model, so that there is the surface of the iceberg, which is visible above the water. There are the visible things, the framework of the project which is seen to its members, that is the premises, for example, the working premises of projects, and the tools and the organization, and for example, if the project has some kind of logo, common symbols, and these kinds of settings, which make efficient operation possible in the project. So if we have, for example, well thought out and organized common premises for the project, Nowadays, there are a lot of these big room spaces, especially in the construction sector, where the representatives of different organizations come to work together. So if everything has been well planned with regard to the premises, that indeed supports the cooperation within the project group. So you have thought about seatings and how the premises support and facilitate cooperation between people. Or, for example, the elements of visual management, that is, what kinds of things are presented on the walls in the project space and what kinds of things people work around there. Then there are the project practices, working routines, and the rules which have been created for the project and through which people have grown accustomed to working. For example, every week there is a common weekly briefing, or if we have, for example, every morning some kinds of quick meetings where we go through the tasks of the previous day and the goals of that day. Practices, these kinds of practices that steer the group's activities. But then under all that, there is the identity of the project. That is, how do people feel about who we are as a project, how our project differs from other projects which are implemented, what makes us unique, who we are and who we are not in this project. Once this kind of very cooperational and in a way positive project identity exists and has been created, things will go smoothly. To extent this can be influenced, but it cannot be completely led, since this is largely based on people's unconscious experiences too. And if this kind of a cooperational identity has been created, it takes the operation of the project very much forward. Of course, this can to some extent be influenced through leadership. For example, it can be influenced through common unofficial kickoffs and events. And the fact that people see each other in their spare time often strengthens the experience of a common identity in projects. That is, there are ways through which the identity can be modified to some extent in such a way that it supports the efficient and functioning activity of the project team. And this kind of a project team, as any other team, will go through the life cycle of the team. So the different phases are forming, storming, norming, and performing. This is a model that is the formation of a group and then sort of testing first the limits of the group. So we are talking about a stage where the members, as we have first started to form the group, after that there is the stage of testing the limits, and it is only after that these sets of common norms are formed for the operation of the group, which steer the operation, that is how things are done within that project. After that, there is the stage of very efficient performance, which in projects is often related to the implementation stage. And finally, there is the time of letting go, and in that too, the members of the group will go through their own processes. And the stage of letting go can actually, in some cases, lower the performance then a bit.